Sarah paused while reviewing the dog training form. The name was fake, the address was fabricated, but the face was familiar. 15 years working for US Marshals meant never forgetting this man was on the federal most wanted list. "This is identity theft," she said to herself, "and I'm the only one who realizes it." Before we dive into this incredible story, tell us in the comments which city you're watching from today. And if this story moves you, make sure to subscribe because tomorrow I have something very special planned for you. Paws and Purpose Dog Training Center occupied a converted warehouse in Denver's industrial district, its wide interior divided into training areas, agility courses, and consultation rooms where owners discuss their dog's behavioral needs. On a Thursday morning at 10:30, the facility buzzed with energy as dogs practiced obedience, agility, and advanced skills. Sarah Mitchell had run the center for 4 years, since moving to Colorado in search of a quieter life than her previous career allowed. At 39, she found satisfaction in helping owners and dogs build stronger relationships, tackling everything from house training to serious aggression cases. Word-of-mouth praise grew her business steadily, with clients valuing her systematic methods and sharp understanding of both canine and human behavior. What few knew was that Sarah's skills came from 15 years as a US Marshals fugitive apprehension specialist. Years spent tracking fugitives had honed her ability to read body language, detect deception, and understand behavior under stress insights she now applied to dogs and their handlers. Her clientele was diverse: families with puppies, professionals managing rescues, and individuals training service animals. Sarah approached each case with the same precision she once used in federal operations: organized, observant, that morning, methodical. She rotated through 3 advanced obedience sessions, calmly adjusting techniques and documenting progress with a disciplined order that had defined every phase of her career. At 11:15 a.m., Sarah was reviewing training schedules when a new client arrived for a consultation appointment. The man appeared to be in his early 40s, accompanied by a well-trained golden retriever that immediately demonstrated excellent basic obedience skills. He introduced himself as John Smith and explained that he'd recently moved to Denver and needed continuing training for his dog. Sarah began her standard new client interview, gathering information about the dog's history, previous training, and the owner's specific goals. John Smith's responses were detailed and knowledgeable, suggesting someone with significant experience in dog ownership and training. However, Sarah's trained, I began noticing behavioral patterns that activated instincts she thought had been dormant for years. The client's body language displayed subtle indicators that Sarah recognized from 15 years of fugitive apprehension work: continuous environmental scanning, positioning himself where he could observe all entrances and exits, and the kind of hypervigilance that characterized people who were accustomed to being hunted. His responses to routine questions about previous addresses and veterinary records were vague in ways that suggested deliberate information control rather than simple forgetfulness. "Mr. Smith," Sarah said, beginning the paperwork process, "I'll need to see some identification and proof of vaccination records for Max." The documentation he provided appeared professionally produced, but triggered additional alarms in Sarah's experience assessment. The driver's license was from a state that used security features she'd learned to recognize during federal training, and subtle inconsistencies in the formatting suggested high-quality. More concerning was John Smith's photograph on the identification. While the name and details were unfamiliar, the facial features activated recognition protocols that Sarah had developed during years of studying fugitive photographs, wanted posters, and law enforcement bulletins. Sarah excused herself to retrieve training equipment, using the opportunity to access her office computer and conduct the kind of quick identification check that had become second nature during her federal career. The U.S. Marshals Service maintains databases of fugitive information that former employees can access for legitimate law enforcement purposes, and Sarah's training had taught her to trust her instincts when something seemed wrong. The facial recognition search confirmed her suspicions within minutes. The man calling himself John Smith was actually Robert Martinez, a federal fugitive who'd been evading capture for 3 years following his escape from custody while being transported for trial on armed robbery charges. Martinez had subsequently been connected to additional crimes across 4 states. making him a high-priority target for federal apprehension efforts. Sarah's analysis of Martinez's behavior patterns revealed why he'd been successful in avoiding capture for so long. His use of high-quality false documentation, his selection of a suburban area where he could blend in as an ordinary pet owner, and his choice of activities that wouldn't typically involve background checks demonstrated sophisticated understanding of how to avoid law enforcement detection. The dog training consultation provided perfect cover for Martinez to establish himself in the community while maintaining a legitimate reason for regular interactions with local residents. Golden Retriever was well-trained and friendly, creating opportunities for casual conversations that could help him gather intelligence about local law enforcement activity while appearing to be a normal pet owner seeking professional services. Sarah realized she was facing a decision that would have been automatic during her federal career, but was complicated by her current civilian status. She was a dog trainer with no official authority, but she was also a former US Marshal specialist who recognized a high-priority federal fugitive when she saw one that her 15 years of fugitive apprehension experience had taught her that successful captures required careful planning, proper coordination with active law enforcement, and systematic approaches that minimized risk to both officers and civilians who might be in the area during apprehension operations. Sarah returned to the consultation room, maintaining her professional demeanor while conducting the kind of tactical assessment that had been routine during her federal career. Martinez appeared relaxed and confident, suggesting he believed his false identity was effective and that he'd successfully establish himself in a new location without attracting law enforcement attention. The consultation continued with Sarah gathering information that would be crucial for apprehension planning. Martinez's current address, his daily routine patterns, his vehicle information, and his apparent level of preparation for potential flight if his identity was discovered. Her questions were disguised as routine training intake procedures, but her federal training allowed her to extract intelligence that would be valuable for operational planning. "How long have you been in the Denver area, Mr. Smith?" Sarah asked, documenting information that would help establish Martinez's local network and support systems. "About 6 months," Martinez replied. "Still getting to know the area, which is why I wanted to find a good trainer used to having space to run. So the city environment has been an adjustment." Sarah's analysis suggested that Martinez had been living in the Denver area longer than he admitted, based on his familiarity with local landmarks and his dog's apparent comfort with urban environments. This indicated deliberate information control and suggested he'd established a more extensive local presence than he was willing to reveal. During the consultation, Sarah also observed Martinez's escape planning indicators, his positioning near the exit, his continuous awareness of other people in the facility, and his obvious preparation to leave quickly if the situation required immediate departure. These behavioral patterns confirmed that he remained actively paranoid about law enforcement detection, that Sarah's federal training had taught her to balance the need for intelligence gathering with the requirement to avoid alerting fugitives that they'd been identified. Martinez's 3-year success in avoiding capture demonstrated that he was experienced in recognizing law enforcement surveillance and prepared to flee if he suspected his identity had been compromised. Sarah completed the consultation while simultaneously developing a communication plan that would alert active law enforcement without compromising the apprehension opportunity. Her 15 years with the US Marshals had taught her the importance of proper coordination to ensure successful captures while protecting civilian safety. "I'd like to schedule your first training session for next week," Sarah told Martinez, providing a timeline that would allow federal agents to coordinate an apprehension operation. "Max is obviously well trained already, so we can focus on advanced techniques." After Martinez left with an appointment scheduled for the following Tuesday, Sarah immediately contacted the U.S. Marshal Service through secure channels that maintained contact with former employees who might encounter fugitives during civilian activities. The response was immediate and urgent. Sarah Mitchell, employee number 4471, retired 2021, she said when the secure line connected. "I have positive identification of federal fugitive Robert Martinez at my dog training facility in Denver." Deputy U.S. Marshal Lisa Rodriguez, who coordinated fugitive apprehension operations in the Denver region, responded within minutes. "Sarah, we've been tracking Martinez for 3 years. He's considered extremely dangerous and flight capable. How certain is your identification? 100% certain, Sarah replied, providing details about Martinez's false documentation, behavioral patterns, and scheduled return appointment. He's using high-quality, forged identification under the name John Smith, appears well-established in the local area, and is using the dog training consultation as community integration cover. The investigation revealed that Martinez had been living in the Denver area for over a year, using multiple false identities and establishing various forms of local presence that would allow him to blend into suburban communities. His use of Sarah's dog training center was part of a systematic approach to avoid detection while maintaining the kind of normal activities that wouldn't attract law enforcement attention. Sarah was unexpectedly activated for undercover work as a dog trainer, while federal agents planned to apprehend Martinez during his scheduled session. Her legitimate business offered perfect cover, and her 15 years of fugitive tracking made her vital for anticipating his reactions. "Your facility is ideal," Deputy Rodriguez explained. "Martinez trusts you, expects normal training, and won't anticipate federal presence in what he considers safe territory." Together, they designed an approach that protected clients, preserved her business, and countered Martinez's proven ability to spot surveillance and escape. Sarah's task was to run business as usual while quietly relaying real-time intelligence on his behavior and mindset, pinpointing the exact moment he would be least prepared to resist or flee. The apprehension took place as scheduled on Tuesday morning when Martinez arrived with Max for his training appointment. Sarah conducted normal business while federal agents positioned themselves around the facility, using her insights into Martinez's behavior to coordinate an approach that kept him unaware of the threat. "Good morning, Mr. Smith," Sarah greeted naturally, watching closely for any sign he detected law enforcement nearby. Martinez seemed relaxed, bringing Max into the training area where Sarah had arranged equipment that provided both cover for agents and the appearance of routine operations. Her 15 years in fugitive apprehension had taught her how to make ordinary settings tactically advantageous. The capture was swift and professional. Agents identified themselves while Martinez was focused on Max's training, preventing flight and ensuring civilian safety. His shock was complete. He'd believed his identity secure and had no idea his location had been compromised. "Outstanding work," Deputy Rodriguez told Sarah afterward. "Your identification and support enabled us to apprehend a fugitive who'd evaded capture for 3 years with sophisticated tactics." Martinez was charged with escape, identity fraud, and additional crimes linked to his years as a fugitive. Sarah's handling of the case prevented what might have become an extended, costly manhunt across multiple Sarah returned to her dog training business with new appreciation for how her federal background continued to serve public safety in unexpected ways. Martinez's case had demonstrated that fugitives often sought to establish normal community presence through activities that wouldn't typically involve background checks or law enforcement contact. The case received regional attention, but Sarah declined most interview requests. The dog trainer who'd recognized a federal fugitive preferred to focus on the community service aspects of both her current business and her contribution to public safety. "Ms. Mitchell," said the reporter who did manage a brief interview, "how were you able to recognize someone who'd been avoiding federal capture for 3 years?" Sarah smiled as she worked with a client's German Shepherd, using the same systematic observation skills that had made her valuable to federal law enforcement. Training dogs requires reading behavior patterns and recognizing when something doesn't match what you expect to see. Those skills transfer to understanding people as well. 6 months later, Sarah had consulted on 2 additional cases where former law enforcement colleagues had requested her assistance in identifying fugitives who might be using pet ownership as community integration cover. Her unique combination of current civilian access and former federal expertise made her valuable for situations that required both tactical knowledge and legitimate reasons for interaction with suspicious individuals. "People think dog training is just about teaching commands," Sarah explained to a regional conference of animal professionals. "But we're also community members who see people when they're relaxed and off guard. That puts us in position to notice things that might be important for public safety." Her phone buzzed with a secure message from Deputy Rodriguez. Fugitive possibly using pet grooming services in Colorado. Similar behavioral patterns to your Martinez case. Available for consultation. Sarah looked at her training schedule. Then at the community she'd chosen to serve through both dog training and continued public safety service. I'll review the case files tonight, she texted back. Some careers never really end, they just find new applications and new ways to serve the public good. Sarah Mitchell, former US Marshals fugitive apprehension specialist, current guardian of both canine behavior and community safety, continued her work one dog at a time, one protected neighborhood at a time, proving that the most important law enforcement work is often done by people who know how to recognize threats hiding in plain sight. Sometimes the most crucial federal apprehensions happen during routine business operations by people who never stopped being federal agents even after they became dog trainers. Have you ever recognized someone from your professional background in an unexpected setting? Share your stories in the comments below and let us know what city you're watching from today. If this story of hidden expertise and federal service resonated with you, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And don't miss the 2 compelling stories appearing on your screen right now. Click and discover more tales of everyday heroes with extraordinary backgrounds. Because sometimes the most important captures happen during dog training sessions by people who know how to read both canine behavior and human deception. See you in the next videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.